I, 27F, just started a relationship with my 25M coworker slash flatmate, and a lot of my friends aren't happy. Too long didn't read. I started a relationship with my coworker today, who I also live with, and it's already causing friction with my friends and coworkers. I need advice on how to reduce conflict in a relationship in this situation from anyone who's been in the same boat. Hey guys, I moved in with James, who I work with in the same team, at the end of October. We've been in complete lockdown in our small 2-bed flat since then. We've spent a lot of time going on walks, watching TV and meeting our friends, so we grew together pretty quickly. We started hooking up at the beginning of January on the agreement we wouldn't make it awkward, then we kept hooking up. We obviously spent Valentine's Day together and we ordered in a meal, and that's when we started seriously considering a relationship. We went official pretty much 10 hours ago, and a lot of my friends, family and co-workers aren't happy, to say the least, telling me it's short-sighted and dangerous. Are they right? We do obviously like each other and we work together, so we've known each other for ages. We didn't accidentally get into a relationship, and I know that office relationships can be built to last. My biggest concern is when we have a fight. Obviously this could be awkward. Can anyone who lives and works with their partner give some advice to avoid confrontation in this situation? I think that's my only concern, and it's a big one. To be honest, these people do have at least understandable reasons to be somewhat concerned. Particularly your fellow co-workers. If you two end up having a fight, you'll both bring that vibe into the workplace with you, and if your productivity takes a hit while you two try to figure it out, then your co-workers may have to pick up your pieces. My take would be that as long as you two keep it professional in the workplace, then it should be okay. They're right that it's dangerous, because if things go bad in your love life, they're also going bad at work and at home. Do any of the people concerned about this live with you guys? They might be pissed that they suddenly have to live with a couple. Basically, you just tripled the potential for awkwardness in your life. But if you're both respectful and open with each other, and others, you'll probably be okay. We started hooking up on the agreement we wouldn't make it awkward, says everyone who started an office fling. I mean, you know why relationships with co-workers aren't advised. Very few people in your situation can keep work and personal lives completely separate, and like you said, you'll inconvenience other people if you fight at home and bring it to work. For example, your work performance suffers and others have to pick up the slack. There's also the possibility of one of you being promoted and being the boss of the other, which may create some issues. You should ask the friends who are more familiar with him if there's anything else they object to, aside from you two working together. Maybe they see something else in this guy that you're not seeing. Dating a coworker is frequently an issue, but people also do it all the time and it works out. It's how many people meet their spouse. I generally suggest not telling people and keeping it professional at work. Realize things could get bad at work if the two of you break up, and it's more likely to affect you than him. I mean, sure, it's risky. Your lives are very entwined, so it would be super awkward if you broke up. But let's not start a relationship by assuming you're going to break up. You might work out and get married, or maybe you won't, who knows. I've never been in a relationship with someone I worked with and lived with, but I have been in a relationship with someone I worked with. We broke up, it was painful, I switched jobs, smiley face. My advice would be, discuss what your relationship is at work. How will you both act towards each other? Make clear agreements. Kiss each other before you enter the building, but no PDA on work premises. Do you discuss work at home? Home at work? Do you tell everyone at work that you're a couple? Do you have lunch together? Just have a simple convo about it. Other than that, so cute that you guys got together. I wish you good luck. I, 20F, do not know how to act towards my sister, 50F. Too long didn't read. Grew up having a toxic relationship with my sister. She comes to the rescue for me. Now I don't know if I should rebuild a relationship with her. Whoa, I can't believe I finally broke and created a Reddit account. I've been a long time a lurker for years, and this is finally the situation that made me want to post for the first time. A bit of a background story. My sister and I share the same dad but have different mums. She grew up in North America whilst I grew up in Asia. Due to family dynamics, there has always been tension between the two of us. That being said, I know she has always loved and cared about me. I recently moved back to the city she lives in 2 years ago. At the start of COVID, we got into a large fight in which we both said that neither of us wants a relationship with each other anymore. Time moves on, and last month, I get offered the job of my dreams with a rival competitor. I wasn't moving forward in my old position, which is why I accepted the role. This led to me getting served a cease and desist by my former company. It essentially said that I had violated my non-compete agreement and needed to quit my job. Panicked, I called my sister, who immediately found me a lawyer through her connections that costs more than my annual salary. I wasn't required to pay a single cent, and as a direct result, my old company backed off. This leads me to the present day. I am so fortunate to have a sibling that protects me. The issue is, I cannot help but feel guilty. We cut off our relationship because despite both of us trying, our relationship has always been a toxic cycle. I've reached out and thanked her. When I get my paycheck next week, I am planning on sending her a handwritten card, flowers, and a bottle of wine. Part of me feels like I should put in the effort of rebuilding our relationship. The other side of me says that I've been down this road before and it has never ended well. I am truly conflicted, and whilst I know that my problems aren't nearly as bad as some of the other people that post on Reddit, I can't help but feel torn over this situation. Growing up, this was someone I admired, and in many ways, I still see her as a real-life version of Superwoman. Should I be trying to rebuild our relationship? Mistake. I wrote that my age is 20f. Whoops, I'm actually 23. My bad. A healthy relationship needs healthy boundaries. Can you imagine a healthy relationship with her? What would that look like? A therapist could help you define and hold those boundaries in place. If I had an ally like your sis, I would work on this. What caused your fights? Are they moral differences or something you could ignore if you set up boundaries? Maybe you only see each other for lunch once a month and don't talk too much about your differences. Or maybe you only play internet games together and don't see each other in person. Try to think through why you've had problems with her. Your parents playing favorites, jealousy, resentment, something else? Seems like it would be good to work on improving your relationship with her. But the first step is understanding why there have been problems in the past. There is rampant favoritism in my family. I'm the golden child in my father's eyes, and he does not give her nearly as much affection as she wants or quite frankly deserves. A lot of it has to do with my mother getting terminally ill when I was young and my father having to raise me as a single parent. This is a massive contrast to her childhood, since he was hardly present in her life. That isn't my fault though, and as much as I sympathize with her, there is nothing I can do about the way my father treats her. I don't think you'll ever be the girl talk all night kind of sisters, but you could be good acquaintances with boundaries. Sending a thank you gift is a great idea, and it makes it clear that she didn't have to do that. She did, but it creates the illusion. Text her something when you see a superficial thing you know she likes. I remember you liked ducks. Look at this one I saw at the zoo. Keep it light and distant and keep your expectations low. You can have a relationship that's civil and cordial, with the understanding that you'll always have each other's backs, while also maintaining a distant, clear boundaried relationship. You have a very strong point. In my head, I've always dreamed of having a very Hollywood-esque relationship with her one day, and I'm starting to realize that I may be slipping back to that. Guess I am going to have another thing to talk about with my therapist this week. How to have cordial relationships number 101. I, 34M, don't know how to approach finances with my wife, 33F, anymore. Hey everyone. My wife and I have been married for 4 years, and together for 7. I'm worried we're on a path to financial troubles, with a runway of a couple years. While dating, it seemed like we had a pretty similar spending style. Generally conservative with large splashes. Going periods spending very little, with a large purchase here or there. We probably ate out more than we should have. We talk talked about spending habits and expectations before marriage and no red flags went up. Then just before our wedding date we were going through the process of moving in together, and consolidating finances. This is when I found out she had exactly zero savings. I had almost 100k sitting dormant. We work in the same industry. It struck me as odd. She explained it away with paying for school, and giving her parents money etc. It should have been a huge red flag, but it just didn't register. Once we moved in together I began to see some more habits I had clearly missed. The on the way home from work shopping trips etc. Now, it's the never-ending arrival of Amazon packages. The woman can't stop spending, and she spends everything she has. All the talk we had about finances early on was clearly a pipe dream, or maybe she actually believes she is good with money, but the reality of the situation just doesn't line up. Fast forward a few years, I've become an enabler. Happy wife, happy life. Though I tend to turn a blind eye to the spending. The savings I had has been on a steady decline. We spend more than we make. That's the blunt truth of it. Now I've attempted to put together some budgets for us. Sometimes complex strategies, sometimes simpler. The longest it has worked was about 4 months. Then she tends to have a bit of a breakdown about not being able to get things, or feeling restricted, or that she shouldn't feel the need to ask for permission. Asking for permission was never in the budget plan, nor was I controlling the flow or access to money. If I were to guess, she was feeling guilty about what she was spending on, and asking permission was a guilt escape. And as the enabler I would talk about how it's a bad idea, but sure, if that's what you want. Anyway, every attempt at a budget ends up with her being unhappy. I'm feeling stressed. It's probably the only conversation I worry about in our relationship, and only because I've seen the unhappiness it brings her before. For additional info, our marriage is good. By all measurements I can give, we're a happy, healthy couple who have open discussions about troubles and concerns. We have good relationships with all our family members. Friends we spend time with independently, and together. Hobbies we enjoy apart. As of a year ago I'm the sole income while she takes on another more personal project. This was decided by the two of us together, and my income alone should be plenty for the two of us to live and save. Does anyone have a good suggestion of a budget strategy that worked well for your marriage? Too long didn't read. My wife has poor spending habits that I have enabled over the years. We need to make changes, and we need it to stick. Seeking advice or strategies for us to implement regarding better financial practices. Just to clarify, despite the post being rant-like about my wife's poor spending habits, I do recognize that as I am an enabler in this situation, I have just as much blame to bear about where we are heading. This isn't about how to tell her to calm it down, it's about suggestions of how we might come together to curb our behaviors, and grow better habits together. Therapy. I've known people like this, and a lot of it has to do with growing up not being able to have things either because family was poor or just controlling, so they overcompensate in adult life. It's not about spending money or sticking to a budget because it's emotional. You need to figure out the emotional trigger behind the purchases and redirect it. This could be spot on. I'd define our upbringing as lower middle class. Nothing extravagant but not poor. Sometimes family vacation might have been delayed a year to make sure everything was fine. Overcompensating now could definitely be a factor here. I would speak to a financial counselor about this if possible. Have this outsider lay out the disaster scenario: one of you gets ill, the other one loses their job, a laptop breaks down and the house gets flooded. There is zero money coming in but extra bills to be paid. It's not about not spending any money on fun things, it's about preparing for any potential setbacks and disasters, and about making sure that when those things happen, and some of them will, even if not at the same time, you guys are covered and not struggling. I think this isn't a bad idea. Having a professional opinion might also be able to fill in any kind of naive mistake I was making with the original budgets as well. Neutral ground here seems solid as well. Cheers.